All right. So I had a question through messengers, and so it was Jack. I was asking, how do you scout? Basically, how do you scout when you can't get out at sea and be in the sea to see if there is things, or do you choose a new place? So that kind of stuff. So we are lucky because now we got some pretty good tools to use. So I'm going to share with you my screen, and you're gonna all recognize that stuff. Let somebody. Oh. All right. So we are on Google Map. So the big advantage of Google Map. So that's the area of Jack. He's from Pembrokeshire. The advantage of Google Maps is going to give you a good idea of the ground outside of the water to access your dive spot, but also it give you an idea of the ground in the first 10 meters of water. So Jack told me he's living in that area there, and so I already had a quick look. So it seems the south parts there is a lot of regulation, but I will bring my interest around this area. That would be one of my. It's going to load. Let's go. Yes, it's going. All right. So this one, you can see it seems very sandy and everything, but nothing great. But if you go a bit more and follow the coastline, oh, you see there is a path. There's some islands and everything, and that I don't know if the path takes you all the way down. Probably looks like it. Yeah. So that bay could be a good start point to do something, because although you will be probably very sheltered from any current, maybe not the swell from the westerly, but quite sheltered from any current, as you are in a small bay. The current is probably going down that way there on that area. So it could be an exploration point. What attract me is all these small rocks, breaks into the cliff, breaks. Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff I'm going to look for. So you go around, you have a look. Yeah, this one here near Abercastle seems pretty promising. The distance from that car park here can be done following the coast. You probably won't be exposed to any currents until you get here in that gorge there. But yeah, probably you can swim around. I wouldn't go too far out at sea. You can see if there is any current going down that side of the point, I think it might be quite strong. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff you need to be careful. So I'm going to focus on that one near Abercastle. So the other stuff I'm using then is the Navionics. Okay, so that's one thing I'm using. So when I was talking about the south part, the advantage of using maps like the Navionics, you're gonna have a lot of information from them, much more than quite different than the one you get from the Google. So all these lines are the limit of something where something is forbidden. So you need to go zoom in and try to find out what's going on. In that area, it's a training range area probably for the military. You got on there is an island there. It's a bit higher probably, or down. No, it's down. Yeah, around here, it's a marine reserve. So you need to find out what they mean by marine marine reserve? Is that no take zone for fishing, or is just sometimes you just you got reserve, but it's only the inland part? So that's the kind of stuff you need to look for to have the information. You shouldn't ignore the law. So just don't, if you don't want to be in trouble, try to find out where you're going. All right. So I'm going to zoom in on. So that's the one we were looking at. Sorry, somebody is joining. Okay. So that's the Navionics side of it, where Abercastle is, and so what you can see is that the water is quite shallow overall. So the blue part, the dark blue part, is a 5-meter ground, and after that is going. So you got option as well on to the depth contour. Okay, and then you see lines. You got options to see also in more details down on the left corner, and if you go for the sonar chart, you're going to see a bit more details map with more lines, and all of that is free and accessible online. You don't need to buy any app unless you are on iPads or tablets and everything, but on your computer is all free. Is the web page of Navionics, and it's all accessible. You don't have all the features you will have if you pay for it, but you will have most of them. So if you look at, so closer the line are, closer a drop off, that means that you got a drop off there. So you can see on the outside of the island I was talking about, the inside is quite flat, so it could retain some fish there, depending on what kind of seaweeds you can find. Maybe you're gonna have like a string of seaweeds, and you will be able to find the bass there hanging around, and especially on low tide. If it doesn't uncover during the low tide, it could be a good spot for a good spot for bass. They might hang around because you will have the current going there or there, so they will be resting here in that flat shallow part in the warm water and just waiting. And the other side, at the opposite, the other side is really a proper drop, and you can see here. So you go from a meter of water to 10 meters in less than. So yeah, you got some tools to measure. So yeah, in what 10 meters, like what is this, 70 foot. Sorry, I'm not used to the foot, so maybe 30 meters is dropping by 10, 15 meters of water. So that could be a good spot to explore for, like, against the cliff. It would be probably for lobster and stuff like that, and just slightly out of the cliff, you could have like a pollock and these kind of fish hanging around there. So yeah. So, and then what you can see, there is you got a bigger drop off, but just to be clear, that's your start point here, and this one could be an interesting one to do. Is a mile out, so it would be a long swim, and quite dangerous swim probably to do, as probably the current is going that way, down that way. So you probably will be very exposed, but I know Jack got a little sib, so which is perfectly good range for a sib, easy. If you do just drift and you're going to explore that drop off there, you can see it goes down to 20 meters, but the top part, you can explore all the top parts and the side of the drop off and all of that. So yeah, so here we are. I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute, and if you have do you have any question already? So I can we can start the questions. Jack, do you want to talk about, did you dive this area? I just unmute you. Okay.
No, I've not gone that far north up the coast, to be honest. I haven't only just picked up this little boat this year, not been able to use it yet. I've been based off just the beaches a bit further south, looking on that map. I think the Skoma Reserve was one I looked at, but I think it's a no take. I think someone might be able to correct me on that one, but I've normally stuck a little bit further south than that. There's a few beaches which are just a little bit more sheltered, and because I've not been able to get quite so far. But that looks like something to definitely to have a little trip out to when the weather improves and we're allowed to get out to. So that looks quite good.
Yeah. Well, you see the future on the map. You can see on the future on the map. You're going to look for this kind of place with one side quite shallow or flat, with not a big drop off, where the fish might stay in cracks during the low tide when they're resting, and then one side a bit more open and with a nice drop, where you get the depth to attract some larger fish, like larger pollock. Because if you stay on a flat ground, you might find bass. That's not a problem. But large pollock, if you stay on flat ground, they don't really like it. You will you probably will have like a standard size pollock everywhere. You might find the lucky, can be lucky and get one larger than the rest, but you need a bit of breaks into the depth and variation into the depth to find and attract larger fish. Sorry. If you want, I can carry on. I'm going to reshare the screen, and because there is another part a bit further south of where we were talking.
Just one last question on the Navionics. Does it tell you about the type of ground on the bottom? Does it tell you where it's like sand or silt or?
Yeah. So when you zoom in, it's going to give you. I'm going to share it. Just give me a second. Up. There we are. So when you zoom in, oops. Yeah. So it's gonna give you quite a large range of information. Does it work on? So if you click, if you click it, come on, yes, here we go. No, it's not on that one. Okay, well, so by the look of it, this kind of stuff is going to be a rocky stuff. It's very rare you're going to have a pinnacle of sand anyway. But that bay is probably sand, and then after you can double check with your Google map, and so that's the Blue Lagoon stuff. So we were there. So yes, that's it's gravel. Actually, it's gravel. But you see that area here, this area there, all of that can be good to explore. It looks quite broken. You got some pinnacles there that you can see on the Navionics side of it. So in front of that rocks there, you got a pinnacle there, you got a pinnacle there. So yeah. Also on the Navionics chart, you got what they call a point of interest. So where they're going to say, sometimes it's that green stuff. You click on it, it's going to give you some more information. Yeah, you see, it's saying rocks. Well, that's also for navigation, to give information. This kind of stuff is rocks as well. But you can also get normal maps, and on your normal maps, I'm going to share something else. Just let me open it. All right. I'm going to stop sharing the map Navionics on the web app, and I'm just going to share with you this one, which is from the Admiralty. Well, there's a French one, but you can see it's a worldwide symbols and stuff like that to be able to recognize things on the map, because every mark on the map got a signification. I'm just going to go through a few of them. So you got that's the timing, but tip of ground, what that mean, all this information, but that's you need to learn them and learn the one interesting for you. And it was another one. So that's for the how to read the map. And the other kind of map you can get is this one, and that's what I was talking about, the tide. To determine the tide. So, well, that's Portland, but it gives you the time every hour what the tide is doing before and after the high water, or from Portland as a reference, or from Devonport, or from the port, the large port near where you are. So Jack, for you, they're giving at the end you got you got all the area. So for you, you might need to get this one, the NP256, and then it will give you the current in that area, more information about the current in that area. So the website, the web part of it is free. So the web Navionics is free. Google is still free. You can have the same thing on your phone, phone and applications and iPads and tablets, but you will have to pay for it. But if you don't have any GPS, anything like that, is worth investing. I think it's £40 for the Navionics for the UK area. It can be worth investing in that and learning and reading it from the. I'm not sponsored. I just want to say I'm not sponsored by any of them, so I don't. It's just the kind of map I'm using, and I find all the information I need on it. So, and even on the one you pay on for the app, you got a live update of what the tide is doing. So it's once you set up your app properly, you got everything, the tide, and when you look at it, it's going to tell you, tide is going down now, and you are at two-thirds of the way down, or whatever information. Okay. CMAP. Okay, I don't know what that's Darren saying. CMAP is free for mobile and tablet. I never worked with that one, so okay. I don't know what's the details. I don't know if we have a lot of details on it or not. So I will have a look. So, and another question from Steve: how can we determine which way the current will be running? That's where the map I was showing you earlier from the Admiralty. So this one, the tide chart, what they call the tide chart. This one. So that's what you need to look for. You need to get this one. You can, I don't know, you probably be able to get them online, but you might have to pay for them. They are not free, but it's worth the maybe £20 or £25 of paper or of file. So that can really help you. Yes, that can really help you. So do not hesitate. There is a small investment to do, and do not hesitate to get this kind of information. But I can still also on the Navionics show you on the Navionics app. So you got it's a kind of a large ID. It's not gonna be as precise as the chart, the Admiralty chart, but if you go in menu, sorry. So on your app, you can see on your app you will have the details. I'm gonna just open my tile ones on the phone. Here we go. So I don't know if you can see. You got the arrows give you the strength and the direction of the currents. Yep. And then you got these little markers there. Oops, here we go. Yeah, here it give you that when it's red, tide's going down. When it's blue, tide's coming up. And if you click on it, you will have like a curve. We give you where you are on the curve, how far you are from the low tide or high tide. So is really handy. I'm using it a lot. That's the same chart I use on the fish finder as well on the boat. So it's all these kind of things that help you to choose a new spot. I'm just going to give you an example of a place I wouldn't try because the chart is showing something not that interesting. And so you got like Tintagel there, and you look when you look that section, it looks pretty good. There's some islands and everything. Careful with for the current because that's very tidal. That area is very tidal. But when you look at it, I don't know. That can be good, but the rest, that side, I never bothered stopping. I did a few stop just to make sure I was right, and there is not much. What's happened when you got line, very regular line like that? It's a seabed. We're gonna go up slowly, and it's probably flat. It's a surfer beach. I call that. So it won't be interesting for us to go and, well, unless you want to eat sand for hours and do only flatties. Yeah, probably it will work. But otherwise, is flat like a pancake, and mostly probably is going to be gravel or broken shell or sand. So that's an example of where I wouldn't even try to put my fins in unless I am in the boat and I'm going to do a few drops. What I do a lot is I log everything. I try to log all my dives. So, I arrived in the UK like 5 years ago, so it's not that long. And I did a lot of scouting. Scouting, it's something people find often boring, but it saves you times when you are on the water and when you want to do fish. I had days, that's for me on the boat. I had days where my buddies, they couldn't come and everything, but the weather was good, and I say, okay, I need to go out. I won't dive. I didn't dive. I wasn't even in my wetsuit, but I went out and I scout, and I found like I double check wrecks, because wrecks on the maps, on the electronic maps, you got the point, but they often they're not really on the point. They're going to be maybe 50 or maybe even 100 meters from that mark. So you need to scout around to find where is the big piece of the wreck. So the scouting part need to be done. And going, yeah, I know we can't in the UK, we're counting how many days we're spending out, but if you spend a year and doing only scouting, the next year it will be beneficial for the next year because you will be able to target some good place. And I had a boss when I was working in Australia. I don't know. Well, we were working for abalones, a big shell, and I don't know how many hours we spent scouting. We're coming back with nothing in the boat. So when you're working, it's quite frustrating. You just like, well, we're not getting any money. You say, don't worry, because now we know there is nothing. So the scouting is you see the thing the way, okay, you learn when you scout and see something and get the information by yourself. Okay, here there is nothing, but maybe one of the spots you're going to scout, it will be something, and then you're going to come back on that spot on a more regular basis because is a spot holding the fish. He was also saying he was doing his scouting during the days where the sea is flat. You make your scouting more interesting, easier, comfier in general. You're not bashing. and he say, I do all the mark I know and know well, and then I know they holding the fish or the abalones, doesn't matter, when it's rough. You don't want to do scouting when it's rough. When it's rough, it's not the time to go scouting. That's the time to use what you know. How do you decide which tidal state is best for any given mark? With the tide, is very. That's a very general. That's a very general idea. It's meant to be when the tide is low, fish is less active. So you're most likely to find it in cave cracks. For the bass, they're laying into the. And I will even talk about slack and moving water, because slack water can be 2 or 3 hours apart from your high or your low water. So during the slack water in general, the fish is not very active. It's been more active during the tide time. So now it's just resting. So you would be more keen to find them into caves, cracks, even breaks, inside the wrecks. When the tide is running, you will find the fish, especially like pollock and bass. They hunt into the tide. They hide in behind rocks, behind structures to go and wait. They wait behind the structure. They're not in the tide, and then they wait for the small fish to be flushed above in the tide, and just bam, and come back into the protection of that structure. So, but after that, they're not moving much. They're gonna go and lay. They're not going away. So I would say any time of the tide is good, but you need to adapt your technique depending on the time of the tide and all the speed and the strength of the tide. What is the ideal ground for finding bream? Okay, well, all the bream I've found were on offshore or pinnacle with proper drop off, so top 8 meters or something like that, and going down to 30, 40 meters down. That doesn't mean you have to go to 40 meters, but all the ones I find. So, and I've been in the UK only for 5 years, and that's the kind of ground I find them on. After I'm pretty sure there is some other Spearos been spearing in the UK longer than me, would say, oh no, I can't find them on flat ground with maybe mussel beds. So but so far that's the places where I find them was they were all on a big drop off. Like well, I can say I find them at the Eddystone. So top of the Eddystone is almost out of the water. You got the rocks coming out, but it's going down to 20 and then further down. So it's not, I'm not hiding any secret. It's just the kind of spot I've been finding them, like the Eddystone stuff, like pinnacles out of the way. Inshore, I find some, but small ones, and I didn't see any decent ones to be shot in that kind of in an inshore. Hey David, do you want to say something about the breams?
Yeah, I've got a sort of a little bit of disagree with what you said there. It's not always they're not always deep. The area you were showing just now, Tintagel.
Yep.
There are spots there where there are lots of bream, gilt heads, mainly, in as shallow as 5 meters of water. Big gilt heads, yeah, you just got to find the spots.
Yeah, you need to find the spot.
You find the spot, you find the bream. But there again, like you go to the stone, and all the best bream are down deep. On the eastern rock, you get a few. On the outside, on some of those bigger lumps, there's a lot on the spline. On that end,
Yeah,
it's known, but they're not always in. For me, they're not always in 20 meters of water. There are a lot of bream to be caught in Tor Bay in 7-8 meters of water. It's just finding the spots. It's what attracts them.
yeah,
That's all it is. Is finding the habitat they like. Flat Rock and Torquay, on the outside of that, it's a sheer mussel bed that runs from probably 8 meters to 16, and they absolutely love it because the mussels are not big. They tend to, for me, they tend to thrive on the smaller size mussels to eat rather than the big ones.
Easier to.
That's what you got to look for, I think.
Yeah, mussel beds. Yeah, well, in France is where I find them, and here it's cracks on at the Eddystone. It's on cracks where there is mussel inside. You need to find the spot. But so far, the spots I find them were quite a far out spot. But I'm sure there is more in the shallow, but it's places I didn't explore yet. To be honest, if the current is more than 1.5 knots, I wouldn't risk it. But saying that, you can find the current can be a little bit offshore, can be strong, but you can find hiding place where you can still quite safely dive. I'm just going to show you a place. It's an example. In that bay, if you stay between that point and that point, between this one and this one, you'll be safe. The current is just turning like that inside it. Right? If you just swim out there, you're gonna end up there in 1 minute. It's just you need to slowly learn, not taking risk. I'm not saying go and take the risk, just jump in and see what's happened. But if you feel the tide is starting pushing, just go back to the shore. Don't try to swim an offshore. If you decide to swim an offshore reef, we were talking what kind of offshore reef we could go. Yeah, let's go there. If you see on the map from the closest shore points, it's about half a mile, nautic mile, so it's a bit longer than a mile. So you can expect kind of some current going through there because the gap there is quite large and there is not much structure all the way. So the tide will be running through it. So if you go out and suddenly you feel that the tide is taking you, just go back to the shore and work your way back to the shore. Don't try. I would say don't try to push it and take the risk if you're not sure about the tide and the timing. It will be a slack, but if you don't know it, you're gonna have to learn it because you're gonna have to find people maybe with the knowledge. But the problem is, well, I find in the UK is that we don't have much people who knows the tide as we need it. So divers, but scuba divers, they can give you some information about the tides. There is some good, like the Totnes Bisac diving club. There is like the Timouth one, and in Cornwall, there is plenty of dive club. They do like a list of the spot they diving. So that's gonna be a big help of all the tide is behaving, because they're going to say, okay, that spot is diveable. So for them, diveable. It means there is not more than half a knot of current. So you can go and say, okay, well, if they're diving at that time of the tide, okay, you work out your tide time, and you can go. You'll be probably safe, because I find them quite accurate. Because they're commercial. They're dropping people, hundreds of people through the years, or even thousands for some, probably for some of them, and they're very precise of the timing when they drop their clients on. So that could be a good database to use for discovering your tide time and the best time to dive your spots. Or because you're gonna have your spot, but maybe they're diving a spot like maybe 100 meters down the line. You're most likely to have the same tide timing on your area, if you see what I mean. After to come back on the speed of the current, I know good Spearos who dive like way deeper than me and everything. But when you do drift dive, 2 knots, 2.5 knots is the maximum. After it's too tricky. If anything happens, it goes so fast, you'll be washed away. I would say no more than 2 knots. And unless, I wouldn't advise more than 2 knots anyway. But anyway, I'll come back to the place of Jack. So we've been like fish guards. We say this kind of area could be a good place to dive. So you can see the difference of lines. What I was talking about earlier. Closed lines, that means the depth is going quite fast down. When you got regular lines, a bit more that like these ones. Oh, oops, in the close-up, you can see it. That's very close, so it's dropping, and suddenly starting like slowing down. So closer the lines are, the drop-off, abrupt or straight is the drop-off. Larger, the space between the lines is, the gap between the gap is bigger. That means the ground is slowing down, and it's a slow slope, very slow slope. But so often when I arrived first in the UK, what I've done, I just went on my computer, and then I've been looking around, saying, okay, maybe that one's gonna be good, maybe that one could be good. That you can see that the little signs mean that's a wreckage. So it's not always a big boat or something like that. It could be just an old piece of boat. It could be some concrete structures, or what they call obstruction. There is not that little sign in the middle, this cross there. There's just this obstruction, what they call obstruction. I'm trying to find one, but no, that's a wreck. Obstruction. Yeah, that's that kind of sign. So that can be some concrete stuff, like it was old protection for a pipe, and that can hold the fish. What you're looking at as well. So so you see, Jack, that's the kind of ground you have. So it's sand. So you need scouting for your new place. You reach the point where you're gonna have the limitation of the map, the electronic map. You're gonna have the limitation of the Google map and all of that. You're gonna have to go in. But my best advice on that one is log everything, every spot you go, just log it. You don't have to be crazy, completely crazy about what you're logging in. Just a bit of the tide. What was the hair and the V's? Yes, this kind of the ground you found. So that's the kind of stuff you should log. The rest, I'm pushing it a bit more, but sorry. I'm just going to stop sharing this one. Yeah, I even put a picture of that's a wreck. So I even put pictures of stuff. So you know, you don't have to do that. I like to do some some smaller drawings and stuff like that. So when I go back to the spots and if they've been good, I can go straight back on the right area, and I'm not spending too much time. If it's rough, if it's a nice day, I know I'm going to spend like 8 hours at sea, and we go to a spot. We did a few dives on it, but we say, okay, the tide is not the right time now. Okay, let's go and I do some more scouting on the area to try to find more and more places. Yeah, that's the Admiralty maps. Can you show it? Yeah, that's the paper kind of map you can have as well. What is that one?
It's plastic.
Oh, okay.
You take it in the boat.
You can take it in the boat.
Yeah. It's called tough chart.
Okay.
Tough.
Nice.
It's you can it can get it wet.
Yeah.
It's got right, Plymouth Sound, Big Bream,
yeah,
Boat Head. You know, it goes right up to it's mainly Devon.
Devon, yeah, southwest.
But the thing is, the good thing about it is you can go in the boat with it, you can get it wet, and it doesn't matter because it's totally indestructible. It's on this corner, Swanage.
Swanage, yeah, okay.
Right, come left.
Left again from Swanage.
Towards Portland.
Yeah, so St. Alban Head and all of that. Okay.
Oh, it's in. Keep going. There's stone.
Okay, that's
here somewhere. We're not far from it now.
Black Rock. Okay. Well, anyway, I saw a lot of them. So you can see all these red boxes are how to say that they are restricted area, but you need to find.
There's Dodo Door there.
Sorry.
Dodo Door's right in the middle.
Okay.
Right in the middle.
Okay, just there. That's
here.
Okay, that's here. Okay. So, well, it seems there is nothing here, but you can see on the wider one that you still have a line. So you need to find out what kind of restriction there is in that area, because you can see it's enclosed into something. But sometimes it can be a restriction for dredging, or it can be a restriction for trawlers. It can be a restriction for anchoring. So it's not always relevant to spearfishing. It's not always a no-take zone or something like that. So that's the kind of stuff you need to find out. Firing range. So if it's that is a firing range here. You need to see the signs on the coastline, because normally in militaries, when they fire stuff, there is a military boat on the water as well. But does the safety to avoid people crossing the area during the shoot. But you also normally have flag. I can't remember what color is the flag, the coding, but you should have flag from the shooting, the base of the shooting range.
Red.
That's a big red, eh? Yeah. So yeah. After what you need to avoid after, I'm gonna just come back to Timothy area, because you see that sign here. That's the fish farm, or mussel farm or stuff like that. So please don't go near them or don't go in them unless you got the authorization of the owner. You're not supposed to be playing into that kind of ground. Okay, that's areas to avoid. But saying that, if you dive around it without going into it, around it, that's I think that's one is mussels. Like we were saying earlier, you might find some mussels laying on the seabed, and mussels will attract other kind of fish and they got the spider crabs a lot as well around it. So, but don't go inside because you will get in trouble with the owner if you get caught in the middle. Even if you have no mussel on you, but they will be suspicious. It's their living there, so they don't want people stealing from them. So, yeah. Yeah, so team is just saying confirming that the red flag for when they're shooting, and the army should publish the range fire times online. They restrict a very large area as it's it's firing, it's a tank firing. So so you can find this timing online, and if you see the red flag on the shoreline, just recheck your area, not going across, or you will be in trouble. You will have the big rape from the military chasing you, so which cannot be fun all the time. Yeah, so well, we made an hour of chats. I hope I answer most of the question. Thanks, David, for the input. And if you have any more question, do not hesitate to send messages through Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever, any means, to reach me, and I will try to answer the question. If I can't answer it, I will get the right person and get the information to you. Apart from that, have a good evening, everyone, and see you Friday for the next one. Cheers, guys.
Who is he?